All right, y'all, it's 202 Wink, and I probably got to go buy some eggs today, sad to say. Let's get into it.
Egg prices, you may have noticed they have been high for a long time. People are going to great lengths to avoid shelling out almost
Egg prices is higher than the people down gallery.
$5 a dozen, and sometimes more than that. This is all thanks to an outbreak of the avian flu, wiping out millions of chickens. Egg prices are now forecast.
I swear they be lying. So now egg prices are high because there were sick chickens. This don't got nothing to do with y'all doing weird stuff to those farmers. I didn't forget that.
To go up another 20% this year. Now, some folks are skipping the grocery store entirely and renting their own hens instead. Fox News correspondent Caroline.
How and where do you rent a hen in the DMV? Seriously. Granted, shout out to I'm gonna say her nickname. Shout out to Stephanie. She was one of the people that I knew growing up that had eggs. I mean, that had chickens in her yard, and probably was from what was for farming. They was probably had grown their own stock or whatever you want to call it. Either way, where can you rent a hen at? Whatever.
Shively reports from just
You might as well save your egg cartons and just bring them to the store yourself and refill them yourself without paying for nothing.
outside Washington, D.C.
Joke.
If you want to do something adorable, get your baby a chicken.
Hello, ladies.
Wait! Wait, please!
If you want to do something practical, get yourself a chicken for the eggs. That's what Elizabeth Sayre did.
With egg prices being as high as they are, I mean, it's a nice savings to have, and chickens are not that expensive.
She got 2 birds and a coop from Glenda at rentthechicken.com. Business is booming in the chicken rental biz thanks to soaring egg prices. Is it a big commitment?
Chicken rental business.
It really isn't.
The national average for a dozen eggs is now $4.95. Just 2 miles down the road from Glenda's, it's almost twice that. A dozen grade A extra large grocery eggs will cost you $9.29.
And we do buy eggs, but just that price is it's crazy, right?
Too high, going out of sight.
Do you buy eggs now?
No, don't buy eggs because they're too expensive.
Elizabeth's pair of rented birds laid about a dozen eggs a week in the spring and summer.
So we were able to feed the family completely, and we had extras to give to neighbors and bus stop people.
But if you're ready to run out and get a chicken right now, you might want to hold off till spring because the shorter days and the bad weather of winter can really slow down egg production.
Spring is next week.
Our 2 chickens were being wintered, is what it was called, with Glenda. So they were spending the winter at the farm.
The chickens will be back in the spring, bringing plenty of fresh eggs and a few challenges.
Wait, what are you doing, Emmy? That's not your water!
Challenging, Elizabeth says, but totally worth it. In Olney, Maryland, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
All right, so you did hear me say $5 for a carton. I do want to break down those prices a little bit more. They're soaring to record highs amid this bird flu outbreak. The average price of a dozen grade A.
Woo! I think I got the bird flu. Shout out to Baltimore.
Eggs reaching $4.95 in January. That's surpassing the previous record of $4.82 set 2 years earlier, and more than double the low of $2.04 in August of 2023. What does this mean for your wallet? We do want to bring in Frances Stacy. She is an economic strategist, and she's going to help break this all down for us. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on Live Now from Fox this morning. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, okay, so when can we expect this to come down? Because another factor here, Easter's coming up in just about 2 months or so, right? And we do know that around Easter, that demand for eggs does go up as well. So is there an end in sight?
Is there an end in sight? Potentially, but probably not for the foreseeable couple of months, because the reasoning behind the price hikes, number one, inflation. You know, you've got costs, for producing.
Boom. First is inflation. Then y'all saying that chickens is sick. Then I ain't forget what y'all did to those farmers, cause I remember, cause I was in traffic reading they signs, and I think it was black farmers.
Producers going up and things like that, and some of that can be passed on to the consumer. You've got health regulations changing. I noticed in your article 10 states are now saying that they will only sell cage-free eggs. I'm sure with Make America Healthy Again, we will see more regulations coming down the pike that has to do with our food supply and the health. And then you've got this bird flu shortage against Easter, and I don't think that that's going to be resolved immediately. So I would expect high egg prices well into the summer. However, that being said, in the global macroeconomic
Is that gonna make the egg prices for the seafood boils go up? Because it's like $2 for one egg when you get a seafood boil.
situation, I do think that the fiscal spending adjustments, if they reduce the fiscal spending, that participates in GDP, that participates in having more money in circulation, which is one of the primary causes of inflation. And so by reducing that fiscal spending, I do think, generally speaking, there's an opportunity for prices to come down probably in the third quarter of this year.
The third quarter.
Yeah,
of the
and
year,
one of the other factors here, so this
prices will go down in the third quarter of the year. Do y'all know it's 4 quarters in a year? The third quarter is like October or some shit, or even before that. Like I don't even know.
virus, it's found on a farm. The entire flock of birds has to be killed to limit the spread of the disease. So we're seeing massive egg farms, these millions of birds they're having to kill. But one outbreak, it could affect the egg supply. So that's why all of this is happening. And those numbers we have right now, 158 million birds have been killed overall since this outbreak started. Can we talk about the trickle down effect, right? Because how does this impact the farmers? We know it does, but are you able to break
Remember, I was talking about the farmers and who got the sick chickens? Cause it's farmers. You know what I'm saying? Who got the sick chickens?
that down a little bit more for us?
Yeah, other than being kind of sad and unfortunate. Yeah, certainly. So economics at its very basic level is just supply and demand. Demand and supply juxtaposed is what creates the equilibrium, which is prices. And so anytime you restrain that supply and you add the additional demand from Easter or just that people want to have eggs, that price is going to increase. And so that's what you're seeing. And, farmers, I'm sure it's going to be very costly for them to, replace their flocks. And so they're going to probably pass some of those costs on to consumers. So I just think that prices are going to remain elevated for a long period of time. But eventually what occurs is that people stop buying them. They go, okay, I'm willing to pay $5. Okay, I'm willing to pay $6. Okay, $8 a carton. That's it. We're not doing eggs anymore. And then that's where the demand factor goes down. And when the demand factor goes down and supply then recovers and goes back up, you will see the prices drop.
One of the big topics of the week here, of really since President Trump has gone into office, is the topic of tariffs. And we actually brought this breaking news a bit earlier in the show that President Trump did announce he is going to implement these reciprocal tariffs. In terms of food, are we going to see an impact on the prices of other food items, maybe not just eggs, with these tariffs?
It might as well be. What else do chickens make besides eggs? Is chicken going up?
Potentially. It's very interesting to me because during his first term, the tariffs that he put in place did not meaningfully raise prices. And then Biden actually held on to most of those tariffs through his administration and even added some at the end of his administration. Right now, what I see from Trump is I'm not sure that tariffs are going to be the primary cause of inflation or increasing prices. It can add to them, but then, of course, he's going to lower corporate taxes, too. Corporate taxes are costs to that company that can push through some of those, higher prices to consumers because they affect the balance sheet. So I don't know how much tariffs is going to weigh in. As far as what I see from President Trump right now, he's using a lot of tariff talk for leverage. He wants these other countries to do something, or he wants the BRICS alliance to stop developing a currency that would threaten the U.S.
Okay, it's too much Trump talk.
dollar as the world's reserve with their own currency. So he's doing that with every country. If you notice, with every
For our viewers, one of President Trump's campaign promises was to bring down the cost of inflation. And now we're seeing eggs increasing. Again, a lot of this due to this outbreak of avian flu, which is very hard to prevent. But can you explain just a little bit how inflation works for our viewers and why we may see prices going up Why is that?
So, the basic definition of inflation and deflation is the amount of money or liquidity in the system against the goods and services. So, if you have 10 loaves of bread and you have $10, that's a dollar a loaf. If you have 10 loaves of bread in the system and you have $20, that's $2 a loaf. If you have 10 loaves of bread and $5, that's 50 cents a loaf. So, what happens is both from the fiscal and monetary. So, monetary policy is controlled by the Fed, fiscal policy is controlled by the government, Congress. And what happens is they're putting money into the circulation or they're taking money out of circulation ratio. And the reason constraints comes from
Okay, that's about it. I don't really care about nothing else, but it's just like, damn. And I think my homeboy just paid like $12 for a dozen of eggs. I don't know, y'all. It's just funny that they're investigating the surge in egg prices, and then they name like three different reasons for why it's going up. Oh, it's sick chickens. Oh, it's inflation. Oh, the farmers. It's all of that, dog. Y'all went and made the chickens sick. I'm gone.